I'm Courtney Obie, and today we'll be taking a look at Chapter 18 of our textbook entitled Telephony. Telephones are one of the most important technologies that we use today. Most Americans, especially the young ones, can't go 10 minutes without relying on their cell phones for some bit of information or interaction. Telephones have come a long way since their development, and the future is wide open for cell phone capabilities. Let's begin by taking a look at the history of telephony. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone in 1876. Even though he gets credit for the creation of the telephone, many inventors were working on the technology at the same time. For example, Elisha Gray. He took his technology to the patent office only a few hours after Bell. Talk about a bad day. Bell then went on to form the Bell Telephone Company, which we know today as AT&T. AT&T had the monopoly on all telephone communication until 1982, when they agreed to step back from their local telephone operations to make room for price competition and innovation. All the telephony developments were making way for new technology that would change the dynamics of communication forever. Wireless phones are portable and communicate over radio waves. Mobile phones send a signal to a tower, which routes to a switching office, then to the receiver switching office, and finally to another tower before getting to the receiver's phone. The different signal towers are also called cells, and that's where we get the name cell phone from. The towers are located all around certain geographic areas. AT&T had a concept for a wireless phone in 1947, but Motorola made the first commercial cell phone called the Dynatac, also known as the Brick, which cost $3,500. Here I have some cell phones that I found around the house just from a few years old. I don't have one of the original brick cell phones. A flip phone, a slider phone, they've come a long way. Cell phones could not operate like they do today, though, without networks. The first network was analog, and it was called IG, which allowed only for voice communication. The FCC then designated a spectrum for personal communication services, and with that came digital cellular networks known as 2G. But the demand to connect to the internet and send texts increased so much, so 3G networks were created, which allows for voice and data to be used simultaneously. And since the textbook mentioned it a little bit, 4G networks have been developed, and that's what many smartphones are using today, like my iPhone here. Now that we understand cell phone communication, it's important to look at other devices that allow for the same type of voice communication. One example is Voice over Internet Protocol, and that is basically using high-speed internet for telephony. If you have ever used Skype or FaceTime, then you are using Voice over Internet Protocol. There are pros and cons to using both standard telephone lines from your home versus using Internet Protocol. Standard telephone lines don't allow you to make long-distance calls without a big charge, but in the case of a power outage, landline phones will still work. Voice over Internet Protocol is convenient because it works anywhere there is internet, and it is basically free to make calls to anywhere in the world. The only problem is that it is totally dependent on internet service, and if the internet is slow, or there's not enough bandwidth, or there's a lot of people on that network, then the quality of the call decreases. Because of all the new technology, there has been a lot of impacts on society, some good and some bad. In 2009, Obama's huge stimulus package gave $7.2 billion strictly for the expansion of broadband internet coverage across the country. So this was so that people in remote places could have access to the internet in Voice over Internet Protocol. Actually, one of my friends at Liberty, he's from Alaska, and so this summer during this whole stimulus package thing, he worked in the remote villages of Alaska laying fiber optic cables in the frozen ground. There's a picture there on your slide. Smartphone sales are rising, making data traffic increase. Users want fast and uninterrupted access to their mobile network, so 4G may not cut it for much longer. More Americans are beginning to rely solely on their cell phones and are canceling their landline home phones. Also, service provider mergers are changing the power structure. Finally, there are possible long-term effects of cell phone usage that haven't been discovered yet because the technology is so new. Medical scientists, for example, are looking into the harmful effects of microwave exposure and radiations between cell phones and users. The world is becoming wireless and bringing in a lot of revenue as a result. In 2009, global market wireless providers took in $927.8 billion in revenue. Different parts of the world influenced revenue amounts, with Europe being in the lead. Americans spend about $205 billion on mobile technology. As many of you know and probably use, a few major carriers dominate the wireless market here in America: Verizon, AT&T, Sprint and Nextel, and T-Mobile. I personally use Verizon. The wireless market will only continue to grow, and more people are moving towards wireless telephony. Americans used to like their landline phones for sociability, reassurance of having it there, but nowadays there are new gratifications that come with owning cell phones, such as mobility, immediacy, and instrumentality. With the convenience of cell phones, it was only a matter of time before more and more companies wanted to get in on the action. Mobile commerce is any transaction with monetary value that is made from an online mobile device, whether it's buying an app or ordering dinner. Amazon and eBay have been very successful with mobile commerce, and many stores are now encouraging users to go download their apps. As with any technology, there are security concerns with putting your financial information into the cyber world, but many companies are taking precautions to help their customers. We have taken a good look at the past and present developments of telephony. But now we'll see what the future of telephone service may look like. Because more homes are going wireless, telephone companies will probably encourage homes to bundle, and I'm sure you've seen these commercials. When they bundle, that way the cable, internet, and telephone service can be made available from the same company. Verizon is one of the companies who offers bundling with their service called Fios. Since cell phones have become such a vital part of functioning, it is causing some problems behind the wheel, and this is a serious issue. Thousands of deaths a year are caused by people who are distracted by their cell phones. Many states have passed laws banning cell phone use. Experts say people who text and drive are 20 times more likely to get in an accident. Companies like AT&T are stepping in and trying to make the roads safer with campaigns like the one you see on the PowerPoint, the "Don't text, like it can wait." Wireless telephony is growing too fast, causing a need for greater bandwidth. That's why users are charged for the data that they use. When I got my first smartphone, I had unlimited data. I could browse the internet as much as I wanted. But then when I upgraded to my iPhone 5, they told me that unlimited data was no longer available and I had to pay for a plan. Steps are being made towards mobile television, but there are many factors to be resolved before mobile TV will become widespread. Because many households are going wireless only, it's important to consider the 911 emergency system and how users could reach operators in case of an emergency. Wireless markets are competing to make new operating systems and create the next big phone sensation. With all of our personal information readily available, again, viruses and hacking pose as a serious threat to mobile telephony. There is the history of telephony as we know it. Nowadays, communication is being done through so many more ways than just the telephone. Cell phones play instrumental roles in probably all of our lives. I know I rely on my phone to tell me the weather, deliver my emails, and interact with my friends at Liberty and my family here at home. Although cell phones make our lives more convenient and efficient, I can't help but wonder if there are negative effects to depending on a cell phone as well. With people becoming more and more reliant on their mobile devices, do you see cell phone dependability having more positive outcomes or negative outcomes for users in the future? Is it possible for technology to become so needed that it is detrimental to society? Definitely something to think about. I'm Courtney Yobi, and this has been an in-depth look at Chapter 18. Thanks for watching.